From the very beginning of Breaking Bad, the battle between Walter White and Hank Schrader wasn't just a fight between a criminal and a DEA agent, it was a silent chess match. And every time Hank got closer to the truth, Walter found a way to stay 3 steps ahead. This is every moment Walter outsmarted Hank, explained. It all starts early in the series when Hank proudly shows Walter the blue meth evidence from Heisenberg's operation. Walter's reaction? Calm, controlled, almost bored. He plays the role of the harmless chemistry teacher so perfectly that Hank never even considers him a suspect. This was Walter's first victory, by pretending to be invisible. And Walter doesn't just act innocent, he leans into his weaknesses, using his quiet personality and timid behavior as a shield. The more harmless he looks, the more blind Hank becomes. Later, when the DEA starts tracking the pseudo-trucks, Walter realizes Hank is getting too close. Walter subtly nudges Jesse to expose the lower-level dealers, forcing Hank to chase targets that look promising but ultimately lead nowhere. Walter doesn't just dodge the investigation, he redirects it. Every step Hank takes is calculated by Walter, even if Hank never realizes he's following the path Walter built for him. But one of Walter's most impressive plays happens during the RV incident. Hank corners Jesse in the old rolling meth lab, ready to uncover everything. Walter races to the scene, but instead of panicking, he executes one of the smartest moves in the entire show. With a fake phone call, calm, simple, and perfectly timed, he convinces Hank that Marie has been injured. In seconds, he turns a DEA manhunt into a desperate family emergency. Hank abandons the RV, and with it, the biggest piece of evidence he ever had. Walter doesn't just escape, he deletes the entire chapter of his criminal life, as if it never existed. As Hank's obsession grows, Walter keeps shaping the investigation from the shadows. When Hank starts to show real fear, especially after cartel tensions rise, Walter uses that fear to his advantage. He plants the idea that Hank might be a target. He doesn't force Hank to stop, he lets Hank's own fear do the job. This psychological manipulation buys Walter precious time, all while maintaining the perfect facade of a caring brother-in-law. And then comes the hospital scene. Hank is spiraling mentally, overwhelmed by near-death experiences and pressure from the DEA. Walter steps in as the comforting friend, encouraging him to rest, take time off, and heal. On the surface, it looks like compassion, but underneath, it's strategy. A distracted Hank is a safe Walter. A traumatized Hank is a predictable one. Then the game reaches a dangerous turning point with Gail Biker. Hank discovers Gail's notebook, the math, the formulas, everything that points to a genius chemist behind the blue meth. Hank is inches away from discovering the truth. For the first time, Walter feels real pressure. But even under panic, his mind works faster. Walter convinces Jesse that Gail must die or they both go down. With Gail gone, the entire case collapses. The investigation loses its strongest lead, and Hank is forced to step back once again, frustrated and defeated. Walter didn't just save himself, he reset the board. As the series continues, Walter keeps outsmarting Hank through small details that seem insignificant but are carefully crafted. The way he talks, the way he reacts, the way he pretends to be confused whenever Hank explains a new discovery. Walter's greatest skill is understanding Hank's personality, knowing exactly how he thinks, what he fears, and how to push or pull him at the right moment. Walter hides in plain sight so effectively that Hank never questions him. He sees Walter as weak, as gentle, as the last man capable of running a drug empire. And Walter uses that judgment against him in the most strategic way possible. He controls the pace of Hank's investigation, he influences his emotional state, he shapes his conclusions without ever touching a piece of physical evidence. Every moment of safety Walter enjoys comes from intelligence, not violence. He didn't overpower Hank. He didn't outrun him. He outthought him. Every step, every pivot, every lie, every act of innocence was part of a bigger strategy. In the end, Hank was one of the best DEA agents the show ever portrayed, driven, relentless, and smart. But Walter White wasn't just a criminal. He was a mastermind hidden behind a pair of glasses, a soft voice, and a cancer diagnosis. And that's how Walter White outsmarted Hank again and again and again until the very end of their tragic, brilliant rivalry.